It's amazing to think, one of the swan songs of the SNES era and collaborations between Nintendo and Squaresoft, now Square Enix, would see a full-on remake with additional features and new post-story content in 2023. Just a few years shy of its 30th year anniversary, Super Mario RPG brings both Mario's most basic form of platforming with Square's knowledge of turn-based RPGs, creating an epic adventure that is still incredibly faithful to its original release. One might think, why wouldn't Nintendo just re-release the original on the SNES Online platform? But when you jump into this remade world, you'll quickly understand how much more lively this game has become with all the advancements in technology through time. Welcome back, Afterwork crew. I'm Joe, and this is Super Mario RPG remade for the Nintendo Switch. Let's clock in. Princess Peach, no longer Toadstool, is kidnapped by Bowser once again, and it's up to Mario to save the Mushroom Kingdom princess. Mario arrives at Bowser's castle to once again duke it out against Koopas, Goombas, Paratroopas, and the King Koopa himself. After a quick battle of swinging off of, Bowser's castle is abruptly taken over by a falling sword dubbed Smithy. With removing the ability to grant wishes by destroying Star Road, Smithy's dream to create a world full of weapons is just around the corner. Mario's journey will take him across various towns, meeting new and familiar friends who will join the party. He may even need help from some unlikely foes to gather the 7 missing star pieces to put back Star Road together. For the most part, the game plays exactly how the SNES version played with some modern day tweaks. There's plenty of puzzle solving as you traverse through the expanded world of the Mushroom Kingdom. Battles are still dealt with by running or jumping onto the enemy. There's no advantages like in Earthbound for coming up from behind for an encounter. Battles are all turn-based, however, they did modernize the controls to play like your current day turn-based RPG. But you can change the control style to that of the Super Nintendo style, where if you hit a particular face button to set your action, you have to hit the same button again to confirm it. This was one of those games where I had already ingrained in my brain that particular playstyle, so call me old, but that was the preferred playstyle that I went with going into this playthrough. I tried to do the modern control style, and for some reason, I think it was because we had just recently gone through like half of the game on the Super Nintendo, and it was just like my brain was already wired to just hit the same face style button to confirm everything. So that's on me. I'm sure had I not done that, everything else would have been fine. As your party levels up, you'll gain new skills, and each level up, you'll be able to choose between an additional bonus stat point towards one of the 3 options: physical, HP, or magic. I'll tell you right now, I never touched HP for any of my party members. I just kept pumping in either physical or magic into each member, and I just wanted to have a focus on those areas because I felt like the game, for the most part, gave me a decent amount of health no matter what. Like, the game's fairly balanced overall in terms of your battles. I rarely did I felt until like the post game that I needed to make sure I had to fully pay attention to where my party's health was at and what I was doing. I felt like that part of the game is where things get more strategic, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Now keep in mind, although magic attacks that may seem like it would make sense to raise your physical instead, like Mario's jump attack, it would actually fall under your magic stat. So if that's where you want your focus, your jumping abilities to be, pump your magic, not your physical. It's something the game doesn't tell you, but if you pay attention close enough to how much damage you're doing based on your raising of physical points versus magic, then you'll catch on quick. The game also adds a triple team attack, and like in Chrono Trigger, depending on the 3 party members you have in battle will change what type of triple attack you'll have. You'll have to get the meter to 100% by just basically continuing to attack, making sure you're dodging your attacks as well in the process of everything, so that way the bigger your chain is, the more percentage will be put into that gauge, if I am not mistaken. This feature doesn't unlock until a few hours into the game, but I still felt this was necessary to add in a review. Last part of battling is timing. If you're familiar with the more recent Sea of Stars, then you'll know about timing your button input to dodge or lower the damage of an enemy's move with the right timing of the A button. When successful, their attacks can do less damage and sometimes save your party member from being knocked out. Be careful though, there are some unblockables the further you get into the game. The same also applies to attacking an enemy both with your basic and magic attacks. The exclamation points are your indication for the button input and will stop showing up as soon as you get used to the button inputs, but will come back if you miss them for a consecutive amount of times. which I personally thought was kind of nice. I mean, you know, you miss a few times, like, oh, hey, the video game's telling you you suck, right? Successfully landing your attacks gives you certain temporary stat boosts through your battle, and carries over into the next battle as long as it's not broken by an enemy hit. Your chain is also saved when timing your guards just right. By the time I reached the final boss, most of my party ranged between levels 25 and 30, which quite frankly is overkill, but I had a mission. I'd never beaten QLEX before, and I was determined to do it. Even with the lazy cell strat, I just wanted to be able to put something to rest that I could never do as an 8-year-old. There are some things that you will be able to do after the game is over, which actually was not in the Super Nintendo version, which I thought was really neat. I'm gonna leave that alone. Just know that it is very challenging. So if you're looking for something with a little bit more like, hey, I gotta put some more strategic thought into that, then the post-game stuff is going to totally be up your alley. It took me about like 3-4 hours to complete, give or take. Take my time with a grain of salt because I do all of this on stream. So like sometimes I'm talking with the community, I'm chatting, but I was also like losing a lot. So you're gonna have to use your brain a little bit to navigate through those battles for sure. Let me just say this first. I went in with the intention of going in with the OG soundtrack and comparing and contrasting with the new soundtrack as I went through each section, but I slowly found myself opting for the remake music over the original compositions more often than not. Nintendo and Arte Piazza, which I hope I pronounced right, did such an amazing job with taking the foundation of what was laid in the original and building upon each theme even more. This made all of the cutscenes, battles, and environments even more lively than my memory recalls. So this is the sub-theme boss from the original. And this is the sub-theme boss from the Nintendo Switch. There's the fanfare theme from the original. And now the Nintendo Switch. And last, this is the battle theme from the OG. And here you go again on the Nintendo Switch. Super Mario RPG is yet another example of a remake that has been both kept faithful to its original while updating the English dialogue with some subtle changes from the days of the old. Similar to Link's Awakening's remake, Woolsey's English translation is there for the most part from what I can recall, but there were some little changes like Frog Fuchsius is now Frog Sage, Toadstool's obviously Princess Peach now, and Mallow's Psychopath move has been changed to Thought Peak. I'm sure there's other subtle changes, but I honestly didn't notice, or I just really wasn't concerned with having a new translation of the game. I was just pretty much playing it through, but for the most part, since I had just played about halfway through the original game before the remake came out, a lot of it very much seemed like what we played on the US version of the SNES game. This game is like a really well-made cake. All of the layers were baked just right from the beginning to the end, and added some extra frosting with the post-game content not found in the original. It took me about 13 to 14 hours to get through the game, and then another 3 to 4 hours to get through the post-game stuff. And that was with me streaming, voice acting, and dealing with some incoming raids from other communities over the 4 streams. I'd say that's probably what the runtime for someone's first playthrough of the game would normally be. Did you plan on picking up Super Mario RPG? Let me know in the comments down below and how your adventure is coming along. I have a couple of videos on how to get the lazy shell and how to unlock the Culex battle, so be sure to check those out in the description down below. And until next time, this is Joe clocking out. Take care. Love y'all. All right, Joe here going off the cuff over here. There's no script on the prompter here to keep me on track, so this might get wonky and wacky out here. But I just want to thank everybody. If you've made it to the end, thank you. And this is just going to be random banter, but thank you everybody also that was sticking around on the Twitch streams. Massive love over there from everybody for, you know, Super Mario RPG. It was really fun to go through and play through one of my childhood games and then have some new stuff afterwards, which is really dope. And y'all really sat through about, like, oh gosh, it had to have been maybe 18 hours of you know, split between the 4 days, but 18 hours in total of me mostly talking like Toad. I don't know how y'all did that. I wouldn't listen to me like that. Like, if I'm gonna do an impression here, it was a lot of, Mario, what are we doing? Like, I could play the clip, but I'm just gonna do it here while these credits scroll over here. And remember, while these credits are scrolling, you can also hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed what you saw here. Share with your friends, let them know what we do here. We play games after work, and we also review them, you know? We're just a community of 9 to 5 people without the 9 to 5 part. If you know, you know. But with that said, thank you everybody again, and everybody that supports me over on Twitch as well. We stream Thursday through Monday, 7 p.m. till roughly midnight. We go overtime sometimes as well, so we got a lot of weird, wacky redemptions as well. And if you want to chat up Nintendo, retro games, or wrestling in general, we're about to get, actually, when I'm recording this, we're about to get ready for our AEW night in the Discord. So that's all going to be linked in the description down below. I will see you all next time. Do we clip to me burping? Should I do that? I'm gonna do it. Bye, y'all. Look, excuse me. No, not. Why'd I burp right at the end?